All right.
Yes.
Uh,
I like it.
we are live. We are live. We're live. We're live.
Welcome everybody. Welcome.
Welcome. Hi. Good night. Good night. Good night, guys. As you're coming in, ensure that you go tell somebody that we are live. Go ahead and let somebody know that we are live. We are ready. We are ready.
Hi Kimberly. Hi Kimberly.
Hi, Kimberly White-Meyer. I keep saying out the full name because that's the name I'm seeing popping up. Sorry, Kimberly. All right, we are going to start in a few seconds. All right, welcome to our channel when two become one. I almost said three because I saw the numbers kept going up. Three become one, but when two become one. Hello, Marjolaine. Hi, how are you? So we are going to start once again. This is our channel when two become
One.
one. Kimberly says she's ready. Yes, we're ready. And yes, I know you're ready. The guest is ready. But we are here. My name is Shanice Lelo Bogle, and this is my wonderful husband,
Anthony Bogle.
Yes. And I am a trauma and relationship specialist, and you are?
A speaker and a entrepreneur.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So we have our guest, and we are not going to delay any longer. She is ready, and tonight is a night of triumph. Yes, I know she. One thing about our guest, she is a breath of fresh air. She is
Thank
so full
you.
of so much energy. So she can't wait over on her side to start. So I want to, before we even get into the questions and allow her to introduce herself, I want to say thank you to our new subscribers. Every week we have to say thank you, give you a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you.
Like we always say, you are family. You're family now, right? Lady Blackstock,
Yes,
you're family
ma'am.
now.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right. So we are very, very grateful for your support, and we want to also tell you thanks for our Q&A that we did on Saturday. That was absolutely amazing. If you have not caught that broadcast, please go ahead and check back for that. And then we have on Thursday another wonderful live or broadcast. I don't know what we call it, episode, talk show, but another one coming up for Thursday night when two become one, or teaching that we do on that night, Thursdays. And then I want to encourage you to continue sending in your questions for upcoming Q&As. We have more planned. Also, we are going to allow our guests tonight. We're talking about lessons in love and adversities being faced by a couple. This reminds me of the question that's been asked: how much can one person take? How much can a couple take? How much can one couple endure? But listen, I want you to know that if you're coming on tonight, come with your notes, come with a notebook, come with your pens, because you're gonna jot down some hope strategy. This is not going to end in pain, but the lessons of love continues. Continue, okay? So how are you before we move on?
I'm wonderful.
We don't want to overlook our men.
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful tonight.
Awesome.
I'm expecting something great tonight.
Hmm.
As the topic says, you know, and we can all relate.
Yes,
We
yes.
can all relate. So it's something um, wonderful. So
Hmm.
I'm excited. I'm
All
excited. I'm
right.
excited.
You're excited. Okay, so we are going to start. Let's start with allowing our guest to introduce herself. You're going to stand in the place of your husband. So, guys, her
Mhm.
husband is not able to be on, but she's a brave champ. So she has decided to come on and represent
Yes, yes, yes.
her or her marriage, stand firm for the marriage, and she's still willing to share, and we appreciate that because um, it's really something honorable. So I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself, and I don't know if you want to share who your husband is, what he does, and also how long have you guys been married?
Greetings and salutations, everybody. I am Mrs.
Hmm.
Proud, Mrs. For
Yes.
once upon a time, I wasn't proud. So I'm
Wow.
Mrs. Ornisia Blackstock, formerly
Yes.
Williams. So Ornisia Blackstock. And my husband is Sharom Blackstock. We're both Christians. We're
Mhm.
both teachers by profession. We're both trained teachers. I teach at a high school. He too is a high school teacher. I specialize in English language, English literature, theater arts, and communication studies. He
Wow.
specializes in industrial techniques, TD, mechanical engineering, and automechanical engineering.
Wow.
Wow,
Wow.
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 My son,
Many hats.
both
Yes. That's
both
awesome.
ministry minded and both entrepreneurs. We are
Yes.
also parents to two beautiful, the sweetest baby girls in the world. Come
Yes.
fight me. If you don't have children, then can't compare to mine. We're
They
just going to leave it
won't.
right there. Right? So I had
Yes.
two baby girls, one 2 years old, and the other is going to be 6 months old in 2 weeks.
Wow.
We have been married for 5 years and see him knocking on the door to come inside.
He
But we've
wants.
been married for 5 years since
Yes.
July 3rd.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thanks for that introduction.
You're
And
welcome.
yes, that is wonderful. That is
Yes,
amazing.
yes.
Congrats on the last on the second baby girl. I won't say last because
It definitely is the last. I'm not
okay.
going any further.
Let's see. So we're gonna go on to greater things. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Um, share with us how you guys met. So how did you meet your husband? How did you meet Sir Blackstock? And when you guys met, what were your thoughts? Was it oh, he's the one, or I've met the one? Did you think that this would end up into marriage?
Well. This is a story I would never get tired of telling.
Mm-hmm.
So, at the time when we met, we had both just moved to St. Anne in 2015 to start our jobs. So, I
Yeah.
moved from Manchester, where I'm originally from, to start
Mm-hmm.
working at Westwood High School, and he moved from Clarendon to start
Mm-hmm.
working at York Castle High School.
Mm-hmm.
Never knew each other. As a matter of fact, by the time I had come up to St. Anne, I had rekindled a
Yeah.
6 year relationship with my high school sweetheart.
Wow.
Wow.
We were on and off, and we were back on.
Yes.
And we were actually in the process of getting engaged and married. So
Wow.
we rekindled love in 2015 and agreed that we were going to get married late 2016.
Yes.
However, God said, watch me.
Mm.
So in April 2016, I was going to Kingston. I was
Mm.
in a bus in Brownstone Bus Park going to Kingston. I'm minding my business, talking to my boyfriend, soon to be fiance.
Yes.
When I just looked through the window, I just legit turned my head.
Mm.
No special reason, just turned my head, and there I saw Sharon Blackstock walking. Glory.
Wow.
In that blue bush jacket and black pants, his black knapsack and black shoes and a pair of shades. And it
Wow.
was instant love off. You know, in Jamaica, they say we love you off.
Yes. Yes.
Instant love off.
Wow.
Instant love off. You must have been in a relationship.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
So the seat beside me was empty at the time, and I said, God, please make you sit up next to me, Jesus.
Wow.
That prayer was not answered. Somebody else sat beside me, and I was upset. So he sat behind me.
Yes.
But en route to Kingston, we're on the highway, and my mom called.
Mhm.
And to get his attention, I made sure to be looking up in the mirror so he sees my reflection and I'm talking loud enough for him to be looking at me. I mean,
Yes.
imagine. To the point where my mother came off the phone, my mother hung up a long time. But
Yeah.
because I still wanted his attention, I'm pretending to talk to
Yes.
my invisible mom. He told me later on that he could see that there was nobody on the phone, but that's okay.
Mhm.
We reached the Spanish town, and the person who was next to me disembarked. And I said, God, please make him come around and sit down next to me. He didn't. He
Mhm.
just tapped me on the shoulder and said, excuse me, please, are you a teacher? And I said, yes, I am. And
Yes.
the conversation continued until we got
Wow.
to 6 miles or
Mm.
3 miles. I don't remember which one it is that you come off to go to halfway tree. But one out of them, I stopped there, so, and he went on to go downtown. And I remember when I came off the bus and went into the taxi to go to halfway tree. I
Mhm.
said, God, please let me remember. I'm in a relationship, you know. God,
Yes.
please let me see this young man again. And
Wow.
he will tell you that when the bus went on with him in it, he said, God, please let me see that young lady again.
Wow.
Never exchanged numbers, nothing at
Wow.
all. He was forgotten after that. I had gone to Kingston to sing at a wedding and forgotten thought.
Yeah.
In May, a Tuesday, I will never forget. And since then, Tuesdays have been especially meaningful to us. Engaged on a Tuesday, first date was a Tuesday. We got married on a Tuesday. Our second
Wow.
daughter was born on a Tuesday.
Wow.
Tuesdays have been it for us. So
Yes.
on that faithful Tuesday, or that fateful Tuesday,
Mhm.
I didn't have in locks at the time. I had full
Yeah.
natural hair, regular natural hair, and I was annoyed. And I decided I had to go to the hairdresser. I called my
Mhm.
vice principal and I said, "Sir, I can't manage school. I'm going to have to leave earlier, asking for half day." I
Yeah.
was just determined that I had to go to hairdresser.
Mm.
I arrived at the hairdresser minutes after 3. And she said, Miss, you know, that is a whole heap of people I have in front of you. I said, it doesn't matter. Even if
Yeah.
it's 12 o'clock tonight, you do me here. So it go, my head half to do.
Yes.
I remember I went into my purse. I got hungry and I went into my purse. I went into my bag, took out my purse. I was marking some papers and I went and took out my purse and I was about to go across the hall. Not no long passageway. It's literally just one step and you reach the shop.
Yeah.
And I remember the Holy Spirit said to me, no, not yet. Sit down.
Yeah.
All right, sir, no problem. Put back.
Yeah.
Continued marking papers, and exactly 20 minutes later, he said, you may go now. I
Wow.
went in, took up my purse, and
Mm.
all I did was stand up, turn, and face to the door. And there
Mhm.
he was, and our eyes made four.
Wow.
He will tell you, he's the opposite of me. Him not like camera and attention and all
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
something there. But he says the next time he'll come on. But he'll tell you that he was at the game shop a few doors down from the salon,
Mhm.
and the Lord told him that he was to leave at the exact time to meet me there.
Oh my
And
God.
we were eyes made 4, and from after 5 until minutes to 9, we stood up and talked.
Wow.
All know me here no do.
Yes.
I went home with my head untied the same way.
Oh, yes.
And I'm still in a relationship. But I can tell you it was that night that I saw something different in him.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't believe me when I tell them that I couldn't remember how he looked that
Mm.
night because the glory of God was upon him. When I mean he just shone.
Yeah.
We just talked about God, we talked about ministry, the gifts of the Spirit, how
Wow.
we're active in church, how we want to get deeper in a relationship. He exposed me to God's generals and
Mm.
some book that he read, and how deep he was in God. It was so mesmerizing and so attractive that his
Yeah.
spirit was so attractive that I never recognized his physical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still in a relationship. We
Mhm.
talked, we had divorce.
All right.
My
She's back.
apologies, a call came in and disrupted us. Are you hearing me still?
It's coming back. It's a little bit low, but it's coming back. All right. She froze a little bit, so she will be back in a few seconds.
All right, are you hearing me better?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I'm seeing you now.
Awesome. You're a
Mhm.
little low on my end, but hopefully you'll come up soon. So,
Mhm.
um, still in the relationship,
Mhm.
and I remember One evening, Sharon said to me, I want to tell you something. I
Mhm.
really like you. I never told him any at all from that salon thing until this point. Never told him that I was in a relationship
Yeah.
until he confessed that he had feelings for me.
Mhm.
And then I said, can I message you something? He said,
Mhm.
yes. And I wrote to him, I feel the same way, but I'm in a relationship. And he
Yeah.
said, okay, I'm going to respect you and your relationship and back off.
Yes.
Hardest time in my life. Oh, Jesus. It
Yes.
was so hard. It was so hard
Yes.
because I missed him. I missed it and I missed him. But then I
Mhm.
had to say to myself, I have never been in love with two people at once.
Yeah. Mhm.
And it's not right to be in love with two people at once.
Yes.
So I told my fellow,
Hey,
to,
Shakira. Mhm.
we're going to take a little break. I need to go
Mm.
on 1 week's break. And I told him, well, he just decided he's going to come out of the picture. So I went on 1 week fasting. And on the Thursday,
Mhm.
God sent me into the book of Leviticus.
Mhm.
And when he outlined the duties of a priest, God said to me thereafter, whomever you marry is going to be involved in church ministry.
Yeah.
Right then and there, I knew that Sharon was the one. Because
Wow.
my fellow, I'm New Testament Church of God originally, and he was
Mm.
Baptist. And one of the things that just couldn't connect through the 6 years that I was willing to compromise at that point
Yeah.
was the fact that when I had certain experiences in church, when I had certain visitations from God or
Yeah.
speaking in tongues or church was exciting, he couldn't
Yeah.
relate, but
Yeah.
Sharon could.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he would understand, he would relate, he would be excited about it. And I loved that, wholeheartedly. And
Mhm.
so from God giving that to me, I said, all right. But that,
Mm.
that never made it easy. A ball, a holla till a shot. Because
Wow.
remember, this is 6 years, we were together from grade 11 through sixth
Wow.
through
Yes.
Wow.
university. And it was hurtful. I cried so till my eyes were swollen. I couldn't
Wow.
go to work the next day. And I
Wow.
remember a friend called me out of the blue and she said, Ernie, said, why are you crying? Me never tell her. I said, I'm bawling.
Yes.
And I told her why. And she said, isn't that the same guy God told you to leave 6 years ago?
Wow.
God
Oh,
never goes back on his word.
wow.
So
Mhm.
the following Tuesday,
But Tuesday.
Sharon and I never talked I never told him about the fasting or anything. The following Tuesday, he just called me and said, meet me at Mango's in Brownstown. That was
Yeah.
the restaurant that we had always gone to, to do things. And that very evening, I broke up with Shadi. So I
Mm.
break up with the boyfriend and met Sharon within the same hour.
Yeah.
And we went to Mango's and sat around that table. And he held my hands and he said, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I love you and I want to
Wow.
be with you. And me, tears come very easy for me. So Sabal is like, I love you too. Yeah, man, right there and then. And we've been together ever
Ever
since.
Wow.
since.
Wow.
Wow. Well, that's an awesome
Wow.
story. I
Wow.
love that.
Wow.
That is
Wow.
My
wonderful.
fans
That
are so
is,
low for me.
it's low. Yeah, try your volume. Is the volume up?
I have turned it up, I think, because the call interrupted it. So I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm going to have to go out and come back in.
We don't want to. We
Mhm.
don't want to try
I
that
don't
at
want to go
all.
out neither. So
No.
just, Lord, increase the volume in Jesus'
In
name.
Jesus' name.
Amen.
Sounds,
Yes.
it sounds a little better.
Yes, so it's so beautiful how God divinely puts people together. You're on your way to go about your business and you
Mm.
just hear, move now. And then he's somewhere else and
Mm.
he hears, move now. And both of you praying the same prayer because you want to meet back up with each
Mm.
other, run right back into each other. Wow, God is amazing. He's amazing.
Amazing God, I tell you.
But you see,
Still a little low for me, but we're praying God for volume soon.
it's still low. Shakira, can you do our sound check for us? Can you hear us clearly? Can you type in the chat if you're hearing us, Shakira, please? While we're waiting on her, last week, I think it was last week, we had a guest who they were also divinely put
Mm.
together.
Mm.
And we saw how, even in the face of divine orchestration, she said that she can hear us clearly. So,
That means I'm
um,
trying. Lord, please. Are you sure you don't want me to go out and come back in?
no, they're
No.
clear. They're hearing us clearly.
Can you hear us?
Well, if anybody can type the questions,
Oh,
because
you're
you're,
not
you're
hearing.
really low on my end, but I'll still try.
Oh.
Okay, because the thing is, they said that they can hear.
No, but she's saying she
We'll
can't.
we'll keep trying. We'll keep trying. No problem. I'll stay.
Okay.
Okay. If it's still bothering you, we're gonna go out and come back. I'm gonna let you go and come back, okay?
All right, no problem.
So I was saying that last week we had a couple with the same issue that they were divinely put together. But the thing is, trouble still came.
Mm-hmm.
Trouble still came. Thank you, Kimon. They said that they can hear. So I want to ask now, I think you wanted to ask that part where after this love is ignited and now, you're moving into marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So you can
Yeah, it
go
was a
ahead and
question that
ask.
I wanted to ask the couple
Mm,
that came on the last time. It
mm-hmm,
was the same type of connection, divine connection.
mm-hmm.
And the question was, do you feel like you know, because I know you had to go through a process where communicating and taking the time to to get the thing together, the relationship together.
Yes.
Do you think you guys took the time to ask, because we know how important
Mm-hmm,
asking the right questions
mm-hmm.
are.
Yeah.
So do you think you guys had got the chance to ask the proper questions in going into the whole aspect of marriage?
We most certainly did. If I'm hearing correctly, you're asking if we asked the right questions before we
Yeah.
entered into marriage.
Yes.
Yeah.
We made sure to do premarital counseling.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that we definitely did not skip out on.
Yes.
We decided to go to premarital counseling. We started off with one counselor, and then when we realized that he was not objective,
Yeah.
Hmm.
we went to someone else. And some realities. Listen to me. Any singles on here?
Mm-hmm.
Go to premarital counseling.
Yes.
If you're not doing it, not get married.
Mm.
Because a lot of the things that you see in dating you're hit with reality real
Yes.
hard
Yes.
Yes.
in
Yes.
premarital counseling. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of tendencies, behaviors, things that we didn't discuss, things that,
Yeah.
the love and the butterflies made me
Yeah.
overlook.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
All came out in premarital counseling, and funny enough, the butterflies still overlooked, still make my brain flutter,
Yes.
you know. And but it's pretty important. So in premarital counseling, there were some questions in terms of how are our finances
Yeah.
individually.
Mm-hmm.
What are they like for the future? Do you have any debt? How many
Mm.
children do you plan to have? At what
Yeah.
time do you plan to have them? What is
Mm-hmm.
your definition of love? Why do you love this person? What do
Hmm.
you dislike about the person? What are the
Mm.
things that you change about the person? Or how do you feel about sex?
Mm-hmm.
Are you open to certain acts, or are you closed
Yeah.
minded to certain things? Then
Hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
matter of denominational beliefs came up because we were from two
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
denominations. And at the time, so like I said, I'm New Testament originally, born and
Mm-hmm.
bred, woot woot, and he's from Church of God in Jamaica. But the
Yeah.
church he attended when he came to St. Anne was not Church of God in Jamaica. It's a new denomination that had just come up. And so
Yeah.
now the question of, am I going to be leaving New Testament? Is he going to be leaving where he is? Are we going to be going
Yes.
to two separate churches? So
Yeah.
those conversations,
Yes.
those
Mm-hmm.
hard hitting
Mm-hmm.
reality conversations came up. There was less focus on the wedding day. There was absolutely no talk about the
Yes.
wedding day. It was all
Yes.
about the marriage. And so, leadership styles, the fact that our personalities are
Hmm.
Yes.
polar opposites, I tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, things, and those things came up. The irritation, what are the things about him that nag me? What are the things about
Yes.
me that nag him? All of these things came up in premarital counseling. So
Yes.
that's how we got them addressed. And we learned the hard way afterwards.
Mm.
Some things in premarital counseling that our counselor told us helped us, but the
Yes.
fact that we ignored some red flags in the
Yes.
premarital counseling and went ahead, we
Yes.
learned it the hard way coming forward.
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
yes,
Yes.
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 And that was what, we wanted to put out there, that you can be divinely orchestrated. You can be put together like never before. You can be joined divinely from the heavens. And when you get married, you'll find out that there are still things,
Yes.
and you wonder where this come from. This is an angelic match. This is a match made in heaven. Where these things come from?
Yes.
So it's not to say that they will not come up. So
So before we go into that,
Mm-hmm.
somebody was asking a question. Which church do you both go? Do you go to the same church now, or you're still?
Oh, somebody asked that.
Mhm.
Can you ask the question again? I didn't hear.
Yeah. Somebody was asking me, do you both go to the same church? Like, which church do you go to now?
Oh no,
Both
we go
you.
to the same church, man. We go to the same church. You see,
Yes.
one of the things that we agreed on from day one is that wherever he goes, I go.
Yeah.
My parents set a beautiful example in marriage, and I was a Christian from a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
My family structure and the leadership structure and the
Yes.
biblical structure, that's it for me. So wherever he goes, I go. So we
Yeah.
had to have the conversation over and over. We spoke
Mm-hmm.
with my parents because my dad is a prominent pastor in the New Testament Church of God. Big up yourself, Reverend Robert Williams.
Yes.
And so I too was very active. I was on the National Children's Board. I was en route to being the National Children's Ministries Director.
Yes.
I was very, very, yeah, man, popular. My brother and I
Mm-hmm.
were. So
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
leave that, we had to have the conversation with my parents, the two of us. Are you okay with me stepping out and going somewhere new?
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay with, the fact that it's not necessarily Church of God in Jamaica?
Mm.
But it's a denomination that is non-traditional. This church is
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
6
Yeah.
years old at the time,
Mm-hmm,
5 years
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
old, 6 years old at the time. Are you okay with us going over there? And yes, the pastor and he's a family friend, but do these, we had to look at, does this church have doctrinal beliefs that line up with what we
Yeah.
believe in?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
these conversations had to be had, and we
Yeah.
agreed that that's where we would go. I remember at one point when we said, all right, since I'm more established in New Testament Church of God, way more active, why don't you come over? And so
Mm-hmm.
he tried it, and then it was awkward for him because he couldn't find his footing. He couldn't see
Right.
where he would fit in and where he would be active.
Mm-hmm.
Whilst it is easy for me to, y'all see, I'm a social butterfly,
Yes.
lovable,
Yes.
flexible,
You
and
fit
adaptable.
anywhere.
For him, it's not the
You
same.
fit in.
And so we had to look at that and find a middle ground. And so
Mm-hmm.
United Lifeline provided that for us, where both
Yes.
of us could be active, and that's where we are.
Mm-hmm.
I never ever believed in us going to two different places on a
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, because when we had to ask the question, when we have children, where would they go?
Yes,
Right.
yes,
One go
yes,
with you and
yes,
one go with
yes,
the other
yes, yes.
parent. Not going to work. Not going to work. Those are important questions, especially for people in ministry and leadership and faith-based people. So I know you have the other one just to say how then did um the challenges.
You know, before we
Mm-hmm.
before we get to that, yeah, short kind of, yeah. I'm just thinking about what it would look like. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say, for instance, with us,
Yeah.
what it would look like. We both believe in God,
Mm-hmm.
right? We both
Yeah.
believe in God, right? But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, there's a channel, or you say there's a like a certain type of like standard, as she was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We both have different standards, or we both have different ways of
Beliefs.
our
Mm-hmm.
beliefs in certain things. How would that work out?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and as she was saying, there would have been a divide
Hmm,
in the
hmm,
household,
hmm.
and that wouldn't really be united, and it will cause other problems.
But we are in love.
It doesn't matter. The marriage is for God mainly. It's first
We are in love, you
unity,
know.
because, like we talked about, with marriage and money, it's really yes.
So you've gone even lower. May I leave and come back?
You
Oh,
want
we
to leave
leave.
and
Oh,
come back?
we gone. Okay.
Because it's really bad
Oh
on my end.
no! All
How
right.
would
So
can
I
she
think
come?
can you how would that work though? Can you come off and then use about the same link? We're gonna trust that that will work. If
I,
not,
I
we're
Oh,
really
finishing the
hope.
question for
Even
you.
now, Jesus.
You sure you don't want to go to the next question? So that before,
All right. Let me hear the next question and see. Straining
all
the gears,
right,
but we can make it.
can make it because I don't trust technology like
so
that.
what after marriage? What are the?
So yes, so we were asking now the next one would be what were the challenges like that came up after marriage? Because where how did the abuse and poverty and neglect and all this where did that come from? Because this is such a
Boy,
divinely orchestrated union. How abuse come in this now, Lady
abuse
Blackstock?
reaching it. Not true. After me come from such
Yes,
a loving home.
a
Jesus. I
loving
came from such
home,
a
so
loving family.
terribly, and
That
I
word.
love
Mighty
I,
God. But
I
yes.
listen.
where do I start from? I think one of the biggest things, like I said, is that we ignored some red flags.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not that we weren't meant to be together, and I believe God wanted
Mhm.
us for this time. I'm fully convinced. It's
Mhm.
just that there are some things that needed to be worked on,
Yeah.
and we ignored them. Love blinded me,
Mm-hmm.
blinded
Mm-hmm.
both of
Wow.
us, and we overlooked some things that really put us in a precarious position. So one of the greatest things that happened is that we got confronted with ourselves.
Mm.
Living together, we became confronted with things we didn't even know that
Yeah.
were bothering us. So what do
Mhm.
I mean? I come from a privileged family.
Yeah.
I can tell anybody that. Being a pastor's child, I was one of them privileged pastor's kids. On a
Yeah.
Sunday, dinner never cook. Either people cook for us,
Yeah.
or we go to some restaurant, baby
Mhm.
babes, or ruins, or seafood gardens. We had life.
Mhm.
We never struggled through university, never struggled through, I never had that. That
Yeah.
poverty, we never did that. The two
Yes.
times my family ever struggled, I was too young to understand. Well,
Mm.
one, I was too young to understand. I was like one going to two. And the other time I was in boarding. So I was pretty sheltered from those two shocks of poverty that my family, those two very short period of poverty that my family would have
Mhm.
endured. And then by the time I started working in 2015, I'm making my own money, living on my own. My rent was just $10,000. So I had all of the rest of me paid to myself. I did my nails when I wanted, my hair I go. So I just had it,
Yeah.
right? And I spoiled myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
Right.
getting married now, my husband grew up. I learned that my husband grew up at a totally different end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
somebody might be saying, "Oh, so you never discovered this when you were dating?"
yes,
Right.
yes,
No, I
yes,
Right.
didn't.
The
yes, yes.
questions asked. Mhm.
Yes, I knew that he didn't have as much money as I did when we were dating. His bills were much higher than mine. I never had any loans or anything of the sort. And
Mhm.
yes, I may have had more, but I married him because of how he made me feel. The
Wow.
way
Oh,
my father treated me. So it's just my brother and I from my parents.
Mhm.
My father made me feel like I was the only girl in the world. Me rotten, me poil.
Yes.
No, my daddy refuses me nothing. Right?
Yes.
Um, but I was rotten, and so I've never been told no when it came
Mhm.
on to what I wanted. I've never been denied the best. My husband, though, is his story of neglect, of
Mhm.
abandonment, and his end, and the fact that he never had a male figure in his life.
Mhm.
We'd never understood the gravity of those two realities, those polar realities
mm,
clashing, and it
mm-hmm.
did damage me. So let me just
Mhm.
wrap it up and really be real with you. I became
Hold,
verbally abusive.
hold on, Onisia. We don't want to miss this part. Travell, can you hear us? Can you hear her when she's speaking? Or we really should allow her to go and come back? I know Travell said that it shouldn't be an issue for you to come out and then come back in. Because we don't want to miss this part of this experience at all.
How about Shakira is getting? I can hear. She says she can hear
The
me.
Shakira,
challenge isn't if you can hear me. It's like, I can't hear you guys so clear. But we're
Yes,
working out fine so far.
yes,
okay.
yes. She says you can hear.
We're
Go, you can
managing
go
fine
ahead.
so far.
Okay.
But yeah, because I was never told no. Yeah,
Mhm.
man, I saw somebody write daddy's girl, full fledged,
Yeah.
full
Mm.
fledged. And now that I have two girls, the first one,
Yes.
favor shipper, I love shipper.
Yes.
But yeah, I became angry and bitter because me say, what kind of mackerel in a cupboard, what kind of
Wow.
Ooh,
you know, no
wow.
money, what?
Yes.
Where does that come from? And because he couldn't provide for me. So, like I was saying, when we were dating, the little things that he did, the
Mhm.
beautiful little things when he got, or his first car, the Mark X, and he would
Yeah.
surprise me in the mornings and take me to school. I mean, just stand up and wait for a taxi, and lo and behold, I him that. Carry me
Yes.
go to school in a Mark X. Our dates were very simple. As much as I grew up, privileged, our dates were super simple. It's just make two sandwich, carry one towel, go down a beach, and buy two beer, and we're all right. It's the
Mm.
simple things. When he got the car, we drove to Otrius, we drove into the parking lot of wait name Eight Rivers Plaza. We only had
Yeah.
$500. We bought two orange juice and a case of muffin, and we sit down and eat and call him. It's the simplicity of those things.
Yes.
those things win me over. I'm that kind of girl. And so
Mhm.
those efforts that he had made me listen. You're not have to have money. The fact that you make me feel like a queen, I got treated like a
Yes,
king.
yes, yes,
So
Yeah.
yes,
yeah,
yes.
that was it for me.
Mhm.
That stopped after marriage.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
it's and I
What's
keep
going
praying.
on here?
This is not it. You know,
Mhm.
um, those things ceased for quite a while, and then I noticed that the lifestyle that I was used to, I was no longer getting. I no longer had access to that, so that made me bitter and angry.
Yes.
Mm.
I became verbally abusive.
Mhm.
And I talked down to my husband and I disrespect him. I said, me can't fight. Don't ask me if physically fight. Don't ask me.
Yes.
But I say, my words me eloquent like whoa. So my
Wow.
mother
Mhm.
made sure that we learned English from we little. Patois couldn't talk in our house. It's my
Yeah.
apologies. Patois could not be spoken in the household of the Williams family. And
Yes.
so I know how to twist words in every way, shape, and form in
Yes.
order to either lift you or
Or
belittle you, break you or
yes.
build you. And I made sure to break my
Mm.
husband when I
Yes.
could not get. I said some degrading things. I called him dunce. I called him worthless, and the thing is, I became so angry, so bitter, so unforgiving that I made it public. I was
Wow,
ashamed,
Wow.
so I made sure that when we were having arguments, our neighbors could hear. I made sure that they
Ooh.
could
wow.
hear when me. Yeah, man. It was intentional to just
Yes.
sabotage him and just
Wow.
degrade him in the worst way. And you know what happened? My husband has never said an evil thing to me.
Wow.
And so it was bad. It was bad. And so people would look at me and look at the nice, bubbly, friendly Christian
Yes.
me and think, no, it's really terrible. It was a
Yes.
vagabond. It was
Yes.
horrible. But then the abuse was not one sided.
Yes.
I was abused financially and emotionally.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because I cut my husband down so much, he was cut off from me emotionally.
Yes.
He grew cold. I mean, I would have bawled from now till the morning. He was
He
dry.
didn't care.
It
Yeah.
meant nothing to him. Just see me a ball and just sit down and look for me or leave the room or gone upon him for. You know, mean nothing to him. And then when I see that you're ignoring me, then we start get dark all over
Yes,
again.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
And
yes,
it's
yes.
just one big cycle of dark, ignore, dark, ignore, dark, ignore.
The negative
And
cycle.
yeah, man, it was really bad. It was really bad. I can remember one or third anniversary. We were heading to this was okay. So me
Mm.
started here. I got pregnant,
Yes.
and we were happy for the pregnancy,
Mhm.
but I don't know what happened. Up
Mhm.
to this day, I can't put my finger on it. Again, it must be the deep-seated anger and bitterness towards each other. But my pregnancy was horrible. The pregnancy journey was horrible.
Mhm.
Completely neglect,
Mm.
pain. It was horrible, and I decided I didn't want any more children. I never
Yeah.
wanted anymore because that was just a horrible period. He, I don't want to slam him or shame him here because we have healed. But even
Yes.
in
Yes.
those times
Yes.
when he was so cold hearted, he would watch me. I was 220 pounds at the end
Mm.
of my pregnancy. I carried big. So my
Yeah.
5 months belly was the size of my 9 month belly or 7 month belly rather. So it was huge. But he would watch me carry things. He would watch me lift heavy loads and never help. It was
Yeah.
a problem for him to carry me to the gynecologist. So I me teeth out and learn to drive myself. We had a
Yeah.
stream, a Honda stream at the time. And without license, without learners, we just find one friend who have license and learners and we just drive.
Yeah.
I just drove and took care of myself and independent and I never needed his help and whatever. When Elonique, that's the name of our first daughter, when Elonique was born,
Yeah.
I resented her because she looked like her father.
Wow,
Wow.
So I
wow,
went
Wow.
into acute postpartum depression with my
Yes.
first child.
Yes.
wow.
And sorry about that.
Mm.
Yeah, went into acute postpartum depression with her, and that meant that I rejected her. So I didn't hold her after we left hospital. I didn't want to hold her. I didn't want to touch her. I couldn't produce breast milk, nothing at all, because she
Yeah.
never looked anything like me. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, I called the hospital twice in 1 year to really find out if she's mine.
Wow. Mm.
I just couldn't because of how
Yeah.
much I hated her father at the time.
Ooh.
I was just bitter and miserable towards, and I kept looking at her and wondering if she's mine, and it was horrible.
Yes.
When she was one, we celebrated after she turned one. We celebrated our 3 year anniversary. on her birth, and that time packed up multiple times to leave, ran
Yeah.
away from home with her. Um, I went to another friend's house, and is when I went, I told him that we're not coming back. And he
Yeah.
just said, call me so I can come and pick her up. So I said, oh, is she you want and not me? And that caused another.
Mm.
I started
Yes.
calling real estate people to see if I could find another apartment in which to live all by ourselves. My parents at this time say, you know, it's okay if you want to move back home. It was just bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad. So I remember making a call to her godmother, and she said, we're going to come and look for you. This is in the week of our anniversary. We're going to come and look for you. And she and
Yes.
her husband came and talked to us on the 2nd of July. Our anniversary is the 3rd. And they came and they talked with us individually and
Yeah.
together. Anniversary come. Never get no gift, not even happy anniversary was said. So you know we
Wow.
get dark and bitter all over again. Because I'm
Yes.
saying you just not change. You never hear what the people say. Say I mean nice and you must treat you're just not hearing.
Yes.
Merciful. On our way, I wasn't going to go out with him. Oh, by the way, I got married on my father's birthday. So the 3rd of July is our anniversary and my daddy's birthday.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So they were throwing my daddy a surprise birthday party and they invited us to come to celebrate our anniversary as well, all the way in Lucy. No problem. Wasn't going to go. Reverend Romero said, go on, man, just make up and go on. With a hardened and bitter heart, I dress up and go. En route, we were talking, and he said, you can't play a little music for you? You know, make the
Yeah.
mood nice. And he said, just wait, man. And he had made a playlist for me when we were dating, and even that I thought was just the sweetest thing. The creation
Hmm.
of a playlist, and he did it again. Until we reached Montego Bay. And he said to me, something about, oh, I love you, you know, you're nice, you know, but you need to learn to submit.
Yeah.
So wait, so go. I can take you to the very stoplight, he said it. He
Mm.
said, yeah, man, you need to learn to submit. And I said, mark my words this day, July 3. I don't remember the year, but I said the year. I, Ornisia Rosmin Blackstock, will never submit to you, Sharon Ron Blackstock, as long
Wow.
as you are this way. And I said it
Wow.
multiple times. And him say, see, that is why, whatever, whatever. And it was one piece of cuss out for 1 hour between
Mm-hmm.
Montego Bay and Lucy. One piece. And I mean, we shouting, him laughing at me, me a cuss him out. I mean, bad would nearly fly. I opened the door to come out of the car. And them say, lock it back, and I lock it, and I crawl on the back. I mean, we argued so much till we wake up the baby. It was
Yeah.
it was miserable. And then by the time we got to the venue, we smiled and pretended that all was well and
Wow.
beautiful.
Wow.
I would cut
You
the
act the
cake and we
part.
kiss and
Yes.
you know, we
Um.
went and we collect presents
Hold,
from my mom.
hold on,
Then when we
Ornisia.
got back in the car,
Listen. Hold on.
we never talked to each other.
Try and go back out and come back in. We're
All
going to do some
right.
highlights on this part while you're coming back. Listen,
We gonna
guys,
come back.
we're gonna allow her to go and come back because of the audio. But let me tell you, there are so many
Wow.
couples who
Wow.
are living that life.
Yes, yes.
Living a lie, living the part of I'm okay in the public, but they're not okay in the private. And we can testify to that because it is something that even did she come on?
Yeah.
Okay. Back
Beautiful,
loud and
beautiful.
thank you so much, Travell, for continuously pointing that out because we were trying to faith walk it,
Yeah.
but sometimes for
Massa.
the faith we have to do. And look how much minutes we ears trying to strain the ears. Travell,
Massa.
thank you.
Divine
But
hearing.
thank you, Travell. I let me tell you, listen, Travell, don't stop being who you are. Be persistent.
Travel
I
is in the spirit.
can't thank you enough. Thank
Fun
you.
fact. Travel
Mhm.
and I went to school together. She's actually my senior from Westwood High School.
Oh,
Oh
yes,
wow.
that's nice. That's so
Wow.
lovely.
Yes.
Thank you so much again, Lady Wine. So,
Yes.
yes, we were saying that there's so many couples who are playing the part, and we don't just want this to be another story being put out there.
Mm-mm.
Couples, spouses, wives, husbands, you may be going through a terrible patch. Please take it from these couples that there is healing and hope.
Oh,
Not
yes.
going to just drop in your lap.
Mm.
It's something you have to deliberately do.
Mhm.
You have to look at the problem and say, listen, I am not being submissive. I am terrible with how I speak to my husband,
Mhm.
especially the ladies. I am not nice.
I really wasn't. And it took God confronting me over and over and over again for me to get it and to understand the root of my bitterness. Because to make a long story short,
Yes.
there are other horrible moments, there are other very horrible moments.
Can
When I
you
Uh,
go?
got pregnant again, it was a miserable time when I found out I was pregnant a second time.
Mm.
Oh,
So,
it
so hold on. So
mm,
how was the intimacy? Because if you are
yes.
getting these traumatic symptoms, these imprints, you are
mhm.
growing and these again the imprints and the aftershock of these high stressors. How were you able to bond or to blend with him intimately, or was it a case where you just do it for do its sake?
Yeah, it's my
That's
husband.
it.
Yeah, my husband.
You
I
just
have to give him a
yeah.
So
It
who
just
made
or
that?
you had those small windows of goodness. You had
Yeah,
those small windows of love, and
yeah,
oh, you look like you're getting it right. You look like
yeah,
you're learning what it means to make me happy now. So it was all about me. For most of the marriage, I only thought of myself and what made me happy, because
yeah.
I lived very harshly by the mantra "happy wife, happy life," when it really
Wow.
isn't that at all. I
Mm-mm.
learned that isn't it at all. That
Yeah,
that it matters, but that
yeah.
should not be the foundation of it. So I kept focusing on, if I'm not happy, then I'm going to make your life miserable. So
Mm-hmm.
your
Wow.
duty is to make
Wow.
me happy, and if you don't make me happy, then you're definitely gonna be unhappy, sir.
Wow.
Wow.
And so when I saw those small windows of, okay, he's changing and making me happy, then all right, so I can give him something, and bam, we were
Yeah.
right back to square one.
Yes.
When he wasn't doing what I wanted to do, when he was not operating or I wanted to act, and it's
Mm-hmm.
more than one time, God had to say to me, stop. And the final time he said it, last year,
Mm-hmm.
October, I
Yes.
think, last year, October into November.
Mm-hmm.
The last time he said it was when I had literally given up on my marriage. What I mean, Mr. God, anything will happen, happen.
Yes.
God said to me I think this was the third time, stop trying to play God over your husband.
Mm. Yes.
Stop trying to play God over your husband. In
Mm-hmm.
addition to that, the last time he said it to me, stop trying to change him. That's my job.
Yes.
Mm.
Because what I was trying to do is get my husband to fit the particular narrative that I had in my head of
Yes.
who my husband should be or who our husband should be. And the sad thing is, I allowed social media to influence me.
Wow.
I kept comparing him to my husband,
There.
to my father. I kept comparing him to my brothers. Yeah.
Yes. 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 Hold it right there, Arnesia. Talk to us about how social media impacted how you wanted your home to be. You're
Yes.
abusing this man. You are abusing
Hmm.
this man. But yet still, we say, oh, listen, parents should treat their children absolutely wonderful. But at the end of the day, this same treated well scenario can flip in the wrong way when these same children get married.
Yep.
Because, as somebody said, we really don't know until we know. True. But can you see how this spoiled daddy's girl
Yes.
behavior came now into the role of the wife and just wasn't panning out right?
Yep.
And we would think
It
that
wasn't.
comes from a healthy home, so she's
Mm.
gonna be a healthy wife, but that's
Exactly.
behavior was what
Exactly.
made
From
you a
child, yeah.
weapon.
So pretty much is what is embedded at childhood.
Her
Yeah. Came up. Yeah. Yes.
expectations,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And
expectations.
like I said, my parents, to this day, I started idolizing my parents' marriage, and
Yeah.
I got confronted with that as well. That,
Mm-hmm.
how I should say this
Wow.
now. Before I forget, I want to say that God had showed me at a point that I was idolizing my own marriage and trying to treat Sharom as though he was my savior.
Mm.
Mm.
I
Mm-hmm.
looked to him as my provider. I look to him as my
Yeah.
comforter. I look to him to do what it is that only God could do. The
Mm.
love that I was looking for from God, I kept searching for it in Sharon, which was wrong,
Yes.
right? Um, and so it really affected us, and I idolized my parents' marriage because, honestly, to
Yes.
this day, my parents really and truly are the most dominant display of the vows I've ever seen in my life. When I mean for better
Mm,
or for worse.
yes. And that's what you know.
And I've seen
That's
it. And when
yes.
I mean sickness and health, my mother right now is has stage 4 cancer, and
Oh,
my daddy is right by her side. So
I'm
in
so
sickness and
sorry to
health, and
mm,
that's okay. We're thanking God for what He has been doing. Come December, it's 35 years they're married. So I have seen that. I mean, I say, why
yes,
you can't do what my daddy do? Why you can't do what my brother do? Why you
yes.
can't? And so, like I said, so when I saw what social media was putting out, of all these husbands who are taking their wives' places and doing all of these
Mm,
things, until I learned, I mean, I kept comparing my husband and saying, oh, if you did stay. So, and so I started even doing what the wives were doing, hoping that my husband would do the same thing.
which
Yes.
is
Or I
what?
sent him the videos. All right,
Oh, mm-hmm,
so I would send him the videos, even
mm-hmm.
send him links and something on WhatsApp to say, this is how you're to behave, this is what you're to do,
A
this is
brightening.
how a man behaves. Or
Mm-hmm.
I would try to speak like the wife or cook or do whatever she does to entice her husband. I would
Yes.
try to do the same. And when it didn't work, mean, nasty, bitter Ornesia came out. And he
Wow.
just went,
He shut down.
yeah, man. It,
Mm.
it, it got really bad enough to the point where I became suicidal in my second pregnancy.
Oh,
Whoa.
wow.
Yeah,
Whoa.
man. I tried killing myself one Sunday. I
Mm.
fantasized, I sat in the settee and I looked out on the veranda and I was trying to decide which way I should jump off of the balcony, whether front way or back way, just so that
Mm.
neither I nor the baby survives.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it was bad. And again, I just gave birth January this year. So you can imagine that that was December, that was early. And it was bad. I mean, it was really bad until, like I said, when God said to me for the final time, stop trying to be God over your husband. It's
Wow.
your
Mm.
job to change him, it's mine. And I literally said, God, I give up anything you want. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to stop trying. We just done anything. We even
Yeah.
confessed that we wanted to step out on each other.
Mm-hmm.
We
That
said,
was
God, anything you want to do.
yeah.
We slept in 2 separate rooms for months, and people don't know. Me still I go to church. Me still I do praise and worship. Me still I
Yeah.
preach. I remember even one time he was preaching, and I can sing. Instead of calling me to sing, he called somebody else.
Oh.
And that is when church people, that Sunday night is when people started looking at us funny because they must say,
Yeah.
that's your
Mm.
wife, sit down. Right, that's all. Your
Yeah.
wife, I praise and worship leader, your wife, voice.
Yeah.
There's a reason she named Valen, but and he
Mm.
called somebody else.
Yeah.
And so people
Yeah.
started looking at it strangely. But when
Mm.
I tell you that, like I said, I made it public and people gave up on us.
Yeah. You
People gave up on us.
hold
Oh.
on,
Whoa.
Ornicia.
Whoa.
Hold on. You're dropping the bombs. What? Hold, before you go to
Whoa.
that part,
Whoa.
stick a pin there, Ornicia. Thank you so much for being vulnerable because believe me, this is not just spilling tea, this is really helping somebody. Some people may not be able to be this open.
Hmm.
Some people who, because of family constraints, limitation, there's some things they can't say. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Really.
No problem.
So what I'm saying is, Christina shared that she's seen some of the things in herself. Like, hi, Sweet 16. She's seen some of the traits that you mentioned in herself, right?
Hmm.
And because of that, she's saying now that she wants to do the work. She's trusting God for the restoration because she's now engaged.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And that's
Mm.
sticky area to be in
Good
because
night, Janine.
Christina, good night, Janine. I want to encourage you to seek that help. Good night
Hmm.
before you move into marriage because I
Yeah.
promise you, your marriage will bring it out.
Wow.
It
Jesus.
is the nicest area to bring
Yes.
out
Yes. Yes. Yes.
wounds,
Yes.
emotional
Yes.
wounds.
Yes.
So please ensure that you get in touch with somebody, whether you're
Hmm.
going to send me an email, something to say, all right, how do I move on
Mhm.
with these
Yeah.
emotional wounds after that
Yeah.
and be better in my marriage? So I'm
Hmm.
going to ask you at this time, guys, like that I see 18, 19 of you online, 17 now, 19 again. Please go ahead and like the live, like
Yes.
the
Yes.
live, like the live. I
Hi, Christina.
yes. Yes, so go ahead and like the live, guys. And if you have not as yet, please share because this is Oh my God, this
Yes,
is
yes,
powerful. Thank you for
yes.
those who are actually liking. As I said, we're not just here to entertain and look cute. We're here to help marriages that are really struggling, really struggling. I could tell you stories upon stories, clients upon clients who are saying, Shanice, listen, this is it for us.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I am done with this. He's not
Oh yes.
treating me well. I am not getting what I'm not getting what I'm seeing my parents did.
I'm not seeing what I'm seeing on social media, but the truth is,
I see on
sorry to cut,
social media. Hi, Tam.
before I forget this,
Mm-hmm.
I want to say this to somebody. It's just been on my mind from yesterday.
Yeah,
I've been super excited to share, but if
yes.
nobody else, if you don't take out anything else, social media is a lie.
Big
Yes,
lie.
yes.
People will only put out their best.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never see couples. They'll never film when they're arguing, and they'll
Mm,
put it out there for you to see. They're not going to film. They're not going to video themselves having a disagreement or when they're sobbing and crying. Or they're not going to put it out. They're going
yeah,
to put out their happiest moments.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
They're not going to put out the receipts that they're in debt. They're
Mm,
not going to put out their receipts, that they're angry and bitter with each other. They're not going to put out their receipts that they're struggling. Yes, the ones who put out about their infertility and so on, but they're not going to put out the times when the husband might cuss them off and tell them, oh, you're infertile. Or the
yes.
wife is going to cuss him out and say, oh, it's because you don't have enough sperm. You
Mm,
don't see that. What you're only seeing is the happy side. And
yes.
so social media sells you the bliss, but
Yes.
doesn't show you the blisters.
Yeah. Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
love that one. That's a good one. That's a
Doesn't show you the blisters. So you're going to see all manner of happiness and how they're thriving and they could have bought this house and travel here and they're getting these sponsorships and ads and whatever. You don't
mm-hmm.
know what they have had to do. You don't know
Mm,
what they have gone through. You
mm.
don't know what happens when the camera goes off.
Yes,
Because I promise you, these people, a lot of them are faking it. A lot of them are only doing it for the camera.
yes.
Social media will lie to you. Is a
Yeah.
beautiful lie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Live in your reality and don't compare your marriage to anybody else's
So
Wow.
true.
because the backgrounds are important, the
Mhm.
work God is doing on you is important,
Yeah.
your wounds are important, your professions are important. All of these things. Do not use anybody else's foundation to try to build your house. It
Yeah.
not gonna work.
Yes, yes.
So
Oh
true.
my God, that is so amazing. You see the bliss, but you don't see the blisters. Ornisia, take us a little bit into how did you so you abused him, he neglected you. And so how did the poverty and the bills like was this coming from what he was carrying into the marriage? Did
Yeah.
you know that he had this plate of debt coming into the marriage?
All of it was not revealed until we got into marriage.
Okay.
Oh.
So
Mm-hmm.
most of it had come out so I knew about one
Mm-hmm.
when we were dating.
Yes.
Most of it was put out on the table in premarital counseling, but
Mm.
the real money management issues and
Oh.
then
Mm.
came after we got married.
Okay.
So that is what happened. So it's mismanagement of
Mm.
money, which is something we're still learning.
Yes.
Mismanagement of money
Mm.
really
Yes.
sunk us.
Mm.
Really sunk us. So we were, listen, let me get real again.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my first pregnancy, I was told that I had lost 4 pounds in 1 week. And
Wow.
if I never put it back on in 1 week, I was in my third trimester. My gyno gave me 1 week
Mm-hmm.
to put on back the weight. And he said, if you don't put it back on, you'll be forced to take the baby from you early because you're starving the baby.
Mm-hmm.
We had nothing.
Wow.
Wow.
Cupboards were empty. And so I had to call a friend and ask her for some food. And
Mm.
she picked a wild callaloo that grew around her yard and
Wow.
said, come give me. And that's
Wow.
what I said on. I remember only wearing one stocking for the whole week, go to work. Him driving on E to school for 5 days in the week.
Oh my gosh.
I'd gone to school, even while pregnant, gone to school. No break, no money, no nothing. I had to wait until 12:30, the lunch period, or until 2 o'clock, my scheduled lunch period to eat.
Yes.
Mm.
And so when they see me not eating during break time or eating during the day, they say, you're not eating the baby, not hungry. Me say, no man, me I do a little fasting or me not hungry right now, man. Me say, and so I'd lie. But
Mm.
if
To
you never
cover
have
your
anything. I never asked my parents for anything, and we were dirt. I remember when Elonique at one point is condensed milk and water we give her to go to our bed.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's how we had condensed milk and water, and so we know what it means to be without.
Yes.
We know what it means to be without.
Yes, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being so open. Coming from a family where you know what it is to be fed and have sufficient and even surplus. I know this would have been a shocker for you and for any wife.
And for them,
Situation. Yes, to them. But as my mother would say, even if my home is dripping in extra, while I will extend what we have to you, you still must learn
Mhm.
to
hmm
go through that with your partner. It's not that they're going to be mean, they'll still extend. But
Yes.
at the same time, every couple must learn to have a story for
Mhm.
hmm
themselves.
Yes.
You can't live your mother's life, you can't live your father's
that
life.
is it.
There is
That
a
is it.
way that the enemy sets up a wife against her husband. Guys, this is not coincidence. This
Mhm.
is all the plan. While we must take responsibility for the mismanagement of funds,
hmm
behavior behind money, there is also the grand scheme of attacking the marriages.
Oh yes. Oh
Stop
yes.
the man and the woman against each other. Okay. Become resentful, become
Mhm.
bitter, allow
hmm
him to be so bound
Mhm.
and bound up in debt that he will never be seen as good enough to her.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
He'll never be seen as provider, priest, leader, king in the home. So she will not respect him.
Not
She'll
submit.
not submit to him.
Yeah.
She'll not love him genuinely. And she'll hate his manhood, his guts. Yes, for the simple. So we
Yep.
have to become aware of the tactics of the enemy. Listen, if we can bind him, we'll always have them against each other in the home
Oh
because you have
yes.
who is vocal, used to good things, and now the man now cannot provide half of what she's used to.
hmm and what has happened to in our marriage is that the devil put my husband in this cycle of always needing money. And so
Mm.
he's constantly working.
Mm.
He wouldn't
Mm.
come home. I remember he wouldn't come home. One night I thought he was missing. Nearly
Yeah.
called police. I took me past and me wake up out of him sleep. I mean, I could not get him for hours. I was pregnant and distressed, only to find this was like after 4, after 5 in the morning.
Oh.
And where was my husband at work? And I
Wow.
didn't know. He never picked up the phone to call me once. Not at all.
So what was
But
going on in his mind? How was he distressing these
Mhm.
home problems? How was he getting help and support?
he wasn't.
Breaking
So
down.
so that's again.
I'm saying that while he's at home and experiencing the breakdown emotionally by you, who was supporting him? Where was he getting the support from?
Nobody.
Wow.
Because he didn't talk. He's not a talker. He didn't share what he was going through unless I brought in a counselor. I know one or two people not come in can help. We get counseling till we short. People leave from Kingston, people leave from Foreign, people leave from Ochi. And it's because most of the times I would call them in to try and rescue our marriage.
Yes.
And it
Mm-hmm.
was the same issue that kept coming up. You're not treating me this way, and we're not talking. The same one issue was recurring, but he never reached out to anybody.
Yes.
He never did. He never believed in it. Only
Mm,
one time he did, but he never believed in it, and so he silently. And
oh,
there were
wow.
points. It's like 4 times ever in our marriage that he
Mm-hmm.
really came out and poured out his spirit. And from what he would have shared,
Mm-hmm.
he had lost not just respect for me, but respect for himself.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Because here's this woman tell I am trying the best I can, but
Mm.
all I'm doing is just beating down on him. All
Yes.
I'm doing is telling him he's not good enough and him can't work enough. And when the world outside, I remember him coming home a couple times and saying, as him walk through the door, I cuss him. Oh, you
Wow.
mean for coming so late and the money in the day around? And he said, imagine the world outside is beating me down and I can't even get peace in my own home. The
Mm.
world outside is beating me down and then I come home, my wife is doing the same. What may I live for? What
Wow.
is my purpose? Um, and so he, unbeknownst to him,
Mm-hmm.
He unintentionally he started doing things
Yes.
that continued to degrade our minds. Like I said, he would have financially abused me. So we
Mm.
shared, we don't have a shared account necessarily, but I gave him my card, and there were good moments when I said, boy, I really hurt you and I'm sorry. And here's money, let me help you out. I have a little money stash here and there. And he took advantage of that and just used up the whole of the money.
Yes. Yes.
I would have gone into debt. This is the first time I ever have debt just for him. I bought him his van. I
Yes.
took out a loan to get him a van. I took out another loan to get us a stream. And I
Mm-hmm.
did all those things to try to get him to love me. But he had locked off his
Yeah.
love for me because of the amount of times we stab him heart and bleed it out. There was no blood in there to keep him alive.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So yeah, he was thankful for it. And so I remember when the van was bought, I used to use it against him. I'm just
Mm.
like, imagine me buy the van for you, you can't do these little things for me, you can't love me, you can't take me out, you can't do whatever, whatever. So it
Mm.
was blackmail for him, and
Mm.
he couldn't
Yes.
take it sometimes that him just never to come home. It's not that he never responded, he just couldn't take it sometimes that he just decided to work late because he couldn't bother.
Yes. Yes. A
He just
safety.
decided to sleep in another room because
Mm-hmm.
this was just too much for him, and he
Yes.
became cold, like I said, like him see me ball and him just, and one and two times he would lash out, and when I slam the door or slam the fridge or whatever it is, and I would say, yo, don't do that. And he had his moments, but he was never as riled up as I was.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was bad. It was pretty bad.
Yes.
It was,
Yes.
it was pretty bad. So he never reached out. It's I who was always doing the reaching out to my pastor, to
Mm-hmm.
parents, to people. And
Mm-hmm.
because of that, I exposed our marriage, and most people told me to leave.
Oh wow. Are you serious?
Yeah. I can tell you it's about three people
Mm.
whoever encouraged, four who encouraged me to stay and endure.
Mm-hmm.
See that word endurance? And,
Mm.
and I soon get to the healing part because that's my favorite part of all
Yes.
of this.
Yes.
But most people say, you're strong, you're brave, me would have left long time. Leave him. You're better than this. All that social media was telling me was resonating. Choose your own happiness. You deserve to be happy. You don't need to be with somebody who doesn't pour into you. I'm telling me, yeah, man, you're not pouring into me. So, it's me, 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 me.
I
Yes.
Yeah,
want
man,
to. Yes. I
mhm.
want to. I'm so sorry. I want to pause
It's
right
okay.
to just say one sentence. As a trauma and relationship coach, I want to say to all of you who told Ornisia Blackstock to leave her husband, shame on you. Shame on you. I'm not hiding and saying it because that hurt me and that really rubbed me the wrong way. Shame on you. Why? Because you did not take the time to go to root causes.
Yeah.
And it must be a reason a husband is operating a certain way or he cannot provide. And it must be a reason a wife is lashing out. Use this life to say, learn something. And I'm going to say it again. Never ever tell a couple to leave each other without offering really solution. Get into the mode of getting help. Get into the mode of saying, listen, how can we be there for you? What is really the root cause of this problem? Don't you ever tell a couple to leave without consulting the one who put them together.
Yes.
Your
Mm-hmm.
marriage is never to be ending on your perspective, on your terms. That marriage ends when God says so. That marriage ends when the Lord who put them together
Together. Yeah.
say,
Yes.
move on.
Mm-hmm.
He has put together. Let no man.
No, man.
So once again, shame on you for people who are out there telling couples, oh, me would have gone long time. Go to do what? Go to do
We live
what
in a long time.
And
Can't find somebody better. You can start over.
in the will of God
and but
until
and sometimes these people are single people. These are the ones that are quick to
or
tell you.
experiencing
Yeah.
breakage in their marriage
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my store, these are all married folks. Never
Wow.
never took the problem to no, never take it to single people. That's a one thing.
Fact.
Never took it to single people. Took
Wow.
it to married people, and it's my parents encouraged me to stay.
Bless
They
God.
had their moments when they broke because to see their baby girl going through so much. And my daddy at one point said, "Oh, don't tell us anymore. Is your marriage? You have to work it out for yourself.
Mm,
But just know your home is your home.
right.
Your home is your home. But Don't tell us anything else. Work and we will pray.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my parents have really been towers of strength for us, but a couple people, well, I mean, people really and truly gave up on us.
Mm.
People gave up on us. People gave up on us, and how you're still there with them and whatever. So a lot of people are surprised that we're still together.
For
And
God.
I can tell anybody this, that one of the biggest regrets that I have now is that I was good at spinning the story to make him the villain and me the victim.
That's the
Mm-hmm.
problem. Mm-hmm.
So people still resent him,
Mm.
even though I've forgiven him.
Yes.
People have not let him go, even though I have. So people always say to them, I say, no, it's not true, but I'm living in it. That people, for hurting me and for how I spun the story to them, for being emotional and making it, and I did all that I could, and I never told them about how I victimized him or I was the villain a lot of times. People
Yes.
felt compassion for me and hatred too, and disdain for him, and
Yes.
that really hurt. That's one of the sad consequences that we're living
Yep.
through at this time. But God is a healer. We're proving
Mm-hmm.
that for ourselves.
Yes.
But I will encourage anybody, just as Mrs. Bogle said, talk. Don't keep it to yourself. If you're struggling, find somebody to talk to, but find sensible people, find objective people, find professional people.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody has your best interest at heart.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they mean well, but it doesn't serve you well in the
Right.
long run.
Right. Right.
These are people who love me, but it's not the best advice that they're going to
Right.
give to me.
Right. Right.
That is it. So they
Mm.
mean well, they want to see me happy, but their method for me to get to the happiness
Yes.
was not God's method.
God's
Yeah,
rule.
they
Not
were
the
more
God
focused
method.
on pain. They were more focused on your
Yes.
pain.
And not your
Yeah,
purpose.
yes, they were more
Yes.
focused on your pain.
Amen.
And it's so sad, men are, it's always
Mm.
as soon
Wow.
as there's something negative along a certain line, especially in marriage, it's always painted on the man.
Mm.
The man is the problem. I bet it's the man is the problem.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
the man
Yes.
is always a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't look on the flip side that, listen, there sometimes there can be things that propels a man down a
Yes.
certain line.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? I've been there. We have
Mm-hmm.
gone through that same thing.
Yes.
You
Mm-hmm.
understand? And I bet person, if, and as you said, it's good
Yeah.
to keep whatever it is that you're going on that's going on in your
Mhm.
marriage
Yeah.
to you and your partner.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That stay within the parameters of your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Deal with it with you, your partner, and God.
Mm.
You
Yep.
understand?
If
When
you
you
have
That man right there.
you have to outsource, you outsource. As you said, find somebody that can give you wise counsel.
yes.
You understand? A person that has your best interest at heart.
Objective third party, yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
that is something that, listen, wow,
That is mind
wow,
blowing.
wow,
Mind
wow,
blowing.
wow,
But
wow.
I know it happens. It
Yes,
happens.
yes,
And
yes.
so, Ornisa, this is not a sad story. It doesn't
Mm,
end in pain. We
No.
healing pathway.
mm,
How did you guys make that
mm,
turn around? Because I know life is not going to be perfect now, but how did you make that turnaround to say, okay, one, there must be accountability taken. It's not that we're going to sweep over the fact that he
mm,
should be providing,
mm,
he should be trying to make ways, and he is. And you as well, with your weapon, which is your mouth.
Mhm.
And so how did you make that change? How did you both work together to make that change for your marriage?
So it began in August. August last year.
Yes.
My brother said something. The seed was planted in August.
Mm-hmm.
This was shortly after Miss. No, I don't remember, but in August we had gone shopping. Let me say that. I don't want to
Yeah.
mix up stories, but the point is, my brother had called me. He knew about the situation, and I love my brother so much. He is such a solid, masculine young man. I love him to death. Big up
Mm-hmm.
yourself, Bishop Williams, yeah?
yes.
And he said, after I'd vented all of that to him a couple of days before, he called me and he said, I'm going to tell you what to do. He
Mm-hmm.
said, how are you and Sharon? And I said, same old, we're not talking, don't care, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm going to tell you what to do. Respect him. I said,
Mm-hmm.
what did you say?
Wow.
Said respect him, not because he deserves it, but because God says you should do it.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Yes. Come
That's
on,
my
bro.
brother.
Rock there.
Beautiful.
Said
Yeah.
respect him, not because he deserves it,
Mm-hmm.
but because God said you should do it. Do it for God's sake. I said,
Yeah.
all right. I tried it. It was hard.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard.
Yes.
When him do something I mean I like it, when my I had to literally bite, mm,
Bye.
but it worked. When I
Yes.
started respecting him, I said dishes start wash up.
Oh,
I start
hallelujah.
respecting him. I see stock stop leave over the place. When I respect him, he started talking to me because we weren't talking at all. We became roommates.
Yes.
He came in and said, "Good evening, and how are you?" And he came out and kept my company in the living room. He might go back to the next room, but things
Mm,
started.
Yes. There's a light in the
yes.
dark tunnel. Yeah, light in the
Yeah,
tunnel.
man.
Yes.
But then we went right back to square one after that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Until, like I said, completely. I
Mm,
just said, God, I give up. Whatever you want, do. Do me really business, whatever you want to do at this point. You know why? After God told me to stop playing God over him,
mm-hmm.
I could show you this spot in my house. And this was the second time God gave me the vision. God said to me, take your eyes off of him and
Mm.
lift them to me.
Yes.
Okay. And I gave up on my marriage. I stopped praying about it. I stopped talking to Sharon. I stopped talking to people. I just let it go. You know
Mm.
why? Because I asked God to start focusing on me and
Yes.
helping me. I started focusing on my relationship with God because I remember that God had showed me that on the day of judgment, He will not ask me how good of a wife I was. He'll
Mm.
ask me how good of a Christian was I. And
Yeah.
a spin off of being a good Christian is being a good wife.
Beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful.
And
That,
so I
yes.
had to spend time with God. I decided to focus on my relationship with God to be the best version I can for God.
Yes.
Anything will happen after that, any tentacles that want to grow out of that, grow.
Mm-hmm.
Anything will, but right now it's time for me to get right with God.
Heart change.
I
Yes.
did not pray about my husband. I did not pray about my marriage. But you know what happened? When I started focusing on me and God, it I moved out of the way to give God room to work on my husband.
Beautiful,
Mm.
beautiful, beautiful.
It gave God the opportunity to perform heart surgery on me and my husband in our sleep.
Yes.
I can't tell you the turning point. I can't tell you, say, oh, on this day, when I
Mm.
could have list out all of the sins for you, when I could have tell you date, time,
Yes.
place, all of the offenses that he had done to me for four
Mm.
years. I cannot tell you. I
Mm.
cannot tell you
Yes.
when God had worked on us. But it's when I had give when me just it allowed me to step out of the way and allow God to step in.
Yes.
And so God was able to work on both of us. I
Mm.
was delivered from the spirit of anger. I was
Mm.
delivered from the spirit of unforgiveness.
Yes.
When I tell you that, don't ask me no, do not ask me. When last my husband offend me, because I can't tell you.
Yes. Yes.
Can't tell you. When I mean God washed me clean.
Mm-hmm.
It's like God wanted to perform surgery on us, but we were one of them unruly patients, and we just
Yes.
refused the anesthesia.
You. Mm-hmm.
And then I just gave up. But
Yeah.
God worked on me. Like I
Yeah.
said, I don't pray for my husband and me tell God me done. And when me
Mm.
done, me done.
Mhm.
Mm.
But what happened is that God began to work on him,
Yes.
began to work on me. And slowly I started to respect him again.
Yes.
And look back. This is after months of not talking to each other.
Yes.
He started to seek God out for himself, and
Mm.
I sought God for myself. Our relationship with God
Yes, yes.
That
individually
come back to.
caused
Yes.
started to line up
Mm.
like a triangle. So
Yes.
he's at that end and I'm on this end, and he's working his way to God, and I'm working my way to God. And the closer we got to
So,
God, is the closer we got to each other.
yes.
And peace returned to our home. Started saying good morning all over
Mm.
again. One night he just came back into my bed. I
See?
never into our marital bed. He just come back. He just come and lay down next to me.
Yes.
We started talking. And we started talking. And we started
Mm.
telling each other the truth. And the man who would never apologize.
Mm.
my husband would have never taken initiative to
Yes.
apologize. I don't have to ask for it.
Yes.
He started to recognize wherever he went wrong,
I,
even immediately, and apologized. Or the day after, he's going to initiate the apology. I never had to ask for it.
mm,
He We started having it's like we started dating all over again.
mighty
Beautiful. My
God.
God.
It's God. We can take absolutely no credit for it. And I can just tell you, it's when I decided enough is enough, God me done.
Mm-hmm.
It's when I understood
Yes.
that the love I've been searching for is in God.
Mm.
Acceptance that I've been searching for is in God.
Mm.
Yes.
My ultimate provider is God. My
Yes.
ultimate peace giver is
Give.
God.
My
Amen.
That
God.
my husband cannot be God. He's not my savior. He's
Mm-mm.
a flawed human being. And
Mighty.
so we have to allow the perfect God to work on our imperfections. I just had to start looking at it that way.
Yes.
Amen.
And
Yes.
when God did his thing individually, and he's still doing it. That's
Yes.
how we come now back to simplicity. Today we were coming home from Lucy, and I
Yes.
sat in the back with the baby, and all I did was him just rubbing my leg. Me
Mm.
put my foot on the front and him just rub it. Who happy like a lark? Me
Oh,
happiest girl in the world.
Amen.
Mrs.
Amen.
And that
Blackstock.
morning, but I
Yes.
saw I go happy. Yeah,
Yes.
tell me something there. He could count on me to pray for him. He
Mm.
said he could go out to work now knowing that he has a wife who is at home praying for him.
Wow.
He comes home earlier now.
Amen.
Mm.
Amen. Amen.
Hallelujah.
Earlier.
Amen.
Mm.
Because
Amen.
he knows he's coming home to peace. He
Yes.
knows he's coming home to a happy home.
Yes. My
It's
gosh.
God who has done the work in us. I don't hold in things anymore. I'm not bitter. I'm
Mhm.
not resentful. Even when I want to get angry, the God in me jolts me. I said, mm-mm. And
Yes.
even if I slip and make the error, my conscience is going to bother me.
Yes.
No, can I tell you something? You say
Mhm.
because of that, the sex is so much better.
Beautiful.
Through the roof.
God,
Yes. Through the roof.
God is beautiful. Everything is so much more beautiful. And so now
Yes.
we've reached to a place where we'll weather anything together.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We'll weather, instead of being each other's storm,
Yeah.
we'll just ride out life's storms together.
Mm-hmm.
We have some
Yes.
mountains in front of us, but what gives us peace is knowing that we are not making the mountain bigger than it needs to be. So when I used to add on top of the
Yes.
mountain, he's
Wa-
confident knowing that we're
I
Wow.
love
doing this together.
it. I
That
love
God is going to help us to conquer the mountain together. So like I said, we're still learning.
Uh-huh.
It's recent healing, but it's
Mm.
God's doing.
it.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
We are healing, but
Mm.
it's all God's doing.
I love it. I love it. Come on,
Amen.
guys. Like the
My
live. Like
gosh.
the
Give them
live.
a round of applause.
Like
Like
the
the
live.
live.
Like the live, guys. Like the
My
live.
God, what a story. I feel him. I feel his presence with that story. Listen, it reminds me so much of even last guess the wines. I tell you, when God puts people together, it's not to say there will not be pain. It's not to say that there will not be hard days and even separation. And some people, because that person maybe did not do or is walking in, all right, God, we give you, we submit, we hand
Mhm,
them over to you.
Mm-hmm.
They're still walking according to what they know. So, yes, God did say, that's yours. He's yours. She's yours. But at the end
mhm,
of the day, how much are we willing to inconvenient ourselves to give up unto God? How much of a Christian are you in your
Mm.
marriage? You know,
Ah,
it,
that
it,
is it.
it
That
yeah,
is it.
it
How
really,
much of it's not marriage that saves you. I
mm,
remember preaching one time and saying, "Boy,
mm-hmm.
we rejoice and clap when we
Yes,
hear that people are going to marry. We rejoice when we hear a woman is going to be a bride. But we barely want to give anything, any praise when somebody becomes a bride of Christ."
Yes.
yes,
Yes. Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
And
yes.
so we think that marriage is going to be what saves us. We think that marriage is going
Mm,
to be what causes us to go into heaven. No. And a
mm,
lot of the traits, I remember listening to Jackie Hill Perry, and she said, God is more
yeah,
concerned with your sanctification than he is with your comfort.
yeah.
And marriage, in a lot of ways, is for your sanctification.
Mm-hmm.
Marriage is what teaches you about forgiveness.
Yes,
Marriage is what teaches you about grace,
yes.
about peace. It's
Mm,
what, for a lot of people, it develops the fruit of the Spirit. But the same way that it is developed there. It's supposed to be shown to other people. As a matter of fact, when it says love
Mm.
your neighbor as you love yourself, it's not just the neighbor out the road or the person that you talk to, it's love your husband too.
Own
Yes,
Love
yes,
your
house.
spouse too, your own house.
yes, yes.
Extend that the same grace that and peace that you extend to people outside. Extend it to your spouse.
And as I
That
listen,
is that yeah.
listen to you saying that,
My God. Thanks for sharing that.
sometimes we read the Bible and we listen to the word, or we
Mm.
read the word, and it tells you about discipleship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going out and reaching out to people and doing this for people.
Yes.
And at the same time, it's like you miss the mark, especially in a marriage,
Mm-hmm.
you miss the mark to say,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
nurture what you have at your house.
Yes.
How can
Mm-hmm.
you leave what you have at house in shambles and go out
Mm-hmm.
and nurture somebody else?
Yes. 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 So
How can you
important.
leave what you have at home to go say Jesus loves you,
Mm.
Jesus cares about you, or
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
feed you, I'll give you my last, I will do this for
Are you
you.
supposed to send a
But
Jesus
in
in
a,
you?
in your house, there's so many turmoils and
Mm.
problems.
Yes. Yes.
Master.
It's a
We have missed the
learning.
mark. And then what the beautiful thing about your
Mm.
story, as I
Mm.
listen,
Yes.
what came to me is that the last, well, it's not the last topic, but we did a topic on mirroring.
Mirror. Oh, that was good. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mirror what you want to see in your marriage.
Yes.
Mirror, be that mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like you went over and said, listen, I want you to be this way. I want you to be, you're telling your husband, I want you to live
Yes.
this way. I want you to, but as we talked about stepping back
Mm-hmm.
and be that change.
So I
That
see it.
you want to say, yeah.
Mm.
So your husband is indirectly seeing it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You get what I
Yeah.
what
So
And even if he or she doesn't reflect, because
Rebel.
immediately they will eventually, they may not immediately, but
yes
they
is
will eventually, because
Yes.
you're studying each other. So you're teaching your spouse what love looks like. You're
beautiful.
Yes.
teaching your spouse what patience looks like. That's why in First Peter 3, I believe it says, wives with unsaved husbands, it's not by words, it's not by conversations that you're going to convert your husband, it's by your actions.
Life.
It's by exerting a Christ-like spirit that your husband will be won over to the faith. It's
Yes,
Yes.
doing
yes,
these things that will teach it. And remember that we are not our spouse's savior. We
yes,
Yes.
cannot change them. It's
Yes.
God's duty to change
Yes.
them.
Yes.
It's
Yes. Yes.
God's responsibility. We cannot. As a matter of fact, if
Mm.
we take up the responsibility, if we take that onto ourselves to try and change our spouse, it gives them license to want to try and change us.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
and here it is that we think that we're comfortable and fine, fit and perfect, and I'm the perfect wife. I am what every man would dream of, and you are over there being, or I'm the perfect husband, and you are. If you take up the mantle to say you want to change them, it now gives them
Mm.
license to try and change you.
My
And
and
are
God.
and,
you willing to do that? So it
and
is when I let go and just
Mm.
let me
mhm.
say, God, anything you want to do it with, you do it with. I'm just done. And
Yeah.
God has created, God is fashioning
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes,
not the husband I wanted, but the
Mm.
husband I need.
beautiful, beautiful.
The
My
man who is able to teach me things, because I wouldn't have known about poverty. I wouldn't have known about certain things in the spiritual realm. I wouldn't have learned a lot had it not been for my husband. I
yeah.
wouldn't learn about grace. I wouldn't learn about patience. God is one by one, God is teaching me parts of the fruit of the spirit. For 4 years, He was teaching me patience. And
Mm.
now, in my second pregnancy, He was teaching me about grace,
Yeah.
extending grace to my husband. And that's why my second daughter's middle name is Grace Ann.
I love
Wow.
it.
Elian Grace and Blackstock, because
Mm.
that's what God was teaching me in that season. And this season now is discipline. And
Mm.
so these things that are necessary for us
Mm.
to be good Christians, which will eventually lead to us being good spouses, good workers in the kingdom, good
Mm.
neighbors, good parents,
Yes. 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 Yes.
whomever. But as long as we get it right with God, He will help us to make it right with others,
Mhm,
including our spouse.
Mm.
mhm.
Wow. 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 Wow.
So your
Wow.
personal relationship with
Wow.
God
Yes.
matters.
Yes.
And while she said teaching,
Mm.
don't try to teach your spouse to be a
Mm-hmm.
certain way, because, as you said, once you, in other words, you're teaching somebody. Remember, we are not perfect.
Yeah.
Only God is perfect. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're teaching this person and you also can make a mistake, he's going to say, okay, you're teaching me this,
Oh
this.
yes. Yes. Oh yes. The classic one. but
Yeah.
you always.
Yeah.
And when you hear the always, you know you're catastrophizing. But you always. But you always. So
Like
it's
God
that.
mistakes.
Mhm.
Perfect one to teach
He's the
us.
one to
Yes,
teach.
he's
We
the
look to
perfect one.
him. Absolutely amazing. Listen, this
I
need
love
part
it. I
two,
love
three,
it.
four, five, six.
I'm
Part
ready.
that are branches that are attached to these main questions. But you know, God's willing, we can grab you back, you and Obi, this time. Um,
Mhm.
let's just apologize also for his absence. He couldn't be on, so she took up the
And she did
mantle and
well. She
she
did
did
well. She did
well for
awesome.
her husband and her marriage.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you so much, Lady Blackstock. I know you're so proudly in that name, and you know I want to wrap up.
Hold on.
New Ray, yes, the thing catch the camera. But thank you so much, Shakira, for those points. I see them, we see them, and we really appreciate them. People can actually go back. If you're catching the replay, guys, go in the live chat. It is absolutely festive over there, and the points are beautifully recapped by Lady Breeza. So thank you so much. If you did not like the live, please go ahead and take this chance, this time, to do your part into saving the lives of a couple, the structuring, the marriage of a spouse.
Yes.
Because guess what? You never know what people going through, and this life
Mhm.
is already changing lives and
Mm.
are actually grabbing and rearranging the mindset of people. So let's thank the Lord for that. To God be the glory. It's not
Yes.
about us.
Amen.
Before we go, I want to set 3 points. Many couples need deliverance before they even need counseling. Many couples, the first go to before you go into it would be best to start with deliverance.
Yes.
Next point. It's a reason that God said to be one flesh with your partner, because you now leave him the opportunity for you to be one spirit
Mhm.
with him,
Mhm.
your husband, to be intertwined. So that is why it's a threefold cord. You can't be one spirit and one soul with your husband.
Yep.
You're be one flesh.
Flesh.
But
Yes.
who are you one spirit with? Because it is the spirit that will help the soul and the
Oh
body.
yes. Amen.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, who are you one spirit with? Who is your
Mhm.
soul locked with? Because it's your spirit that should help the soul and the body in
Mhm.
times
Mhm.
of weakness. And the last thing is start with yourself.
Yes.
I
That is it.
am tired. You know, you'd say, oh, but Shanice, he's not doing and she's not doing. Or Anthony, she's not doing. Brother Anthony, she's not doing. He's not doing. What are you doing?
That is it.
What are
Take
you doing?
responsibility for yourself.
In your
Yes,
relationship.
big finger, big
Yeah.
finger. What are you doing? So Arnesia, to recap, if you weren't on, she was abusing her husband, and I know a lot of people came on thinking, "Oh, the husband did abuse Arnesia," but she was the one abusing the husband, and then he started neglecting her,
Yes.
which is typical. And then the resentment, and then you have the financial abuse and the poverty and the this and the that creeping in, the resentment, the bitterness. But start with self.
Mhm.
Self, look to the Almighty, make your whole yourself a
Amen.
do what you
Amen.
do to help your marriage and your partner. And this is a beautiful segue into reminding you guys that next week we're doing 7 days of prayer and fasting for couples, for issues relating to the family, for even singles. If you are sick, if your spouse sick, if you're financially broken, if you have
Mhm.
whatever the case, if your children are not aligned, if you don't have funds or whatever for your family, we are asking you to send in your prayer request, because we are coming with the prophetic voice for next week
Yes.
Amen. Amen.
on, and they will be ministering to people, praying for people. We're having some leaders on every single night next week, Monday to Saturday. Actually, Sunday to Saturday, we are having 7 nights of prayer and fasting. And we'll be sending out the prayer points. Send your family's issues in, whatever topics, pain points, so that we can put you. And we know that by the end of that 7 days, there will be victory.
Mhm.
There will be
Amen.
testimonies that will be shared, because we're
Amen.
here to play.
Yes.
Typically, we would used to roll our eyes at anything marriage related. We were never enthused by marriage, marital things, and to be on no life talking about no marriage. I'm trauma specialist. I wasn't involved and in love
Mm.
during no marriage until the Lord wheeled me in and said, "You abused your husband too emotionally. So you are no longer gonna be no trauma and recovery coach like you think you're cute and nice. You're gonna be trauma and relationship because that's where you're most impactful."
Yes.
And so we move according to how he's leading and how he's
Mhm.
directing for us to serve his platform. Arnisa,
Mhm.
we can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
I ask Mama to do the closing words and to
Yes.
close us out.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. I must say, you know, you have said a lot
Mm,
that really brought me back, because I promise you, we went through a lot of stuff.
mm-hmm,
Persons might look at us and say, "Oh, they look bright and dandy and look fresh and clean and all of that." But we have gone through it, you know.
mm,
And I promise you, like, if it wasn't God, He was the one. He's the glue that
yes,
holds marriages together.
yes,
And so is you have to understand that if it is given um by Him,
yes.
right? We
Mhm.
we have to realize that we cannot do this thing carnally.
Mhm.
You
Say that
understand?
again, please.
He was the one that instituted marriage. He was the one
Yes,
that gave us this beautiful thing.
my
You
God.
understand? So we cannot feel like, okay, he gave us this and then
Mm,
we're just going to hopscotch to it.
mm,
Hopscotch. We have to realize that, listen, it is a spiritual walk.
yes.
Oh, yes.
You understand?
And
Mm,
if I may just interject one thing, one of the things that I've learned throughout all of this is that I've had the confidence to leave. I've never
mm,
had the conviction to leave.
Wow, wow, wow,
wow.
I've
wow.
never had the conviction. As
Carnal.
bad as it got. And then I was sure that this not gonna work out. I'd mapped it
Yes,
out. That I would have leave. I would have got to foreign, and so one man must love me with me two children. It was never God's will.
Hmm.
I had
yes,
the confidence. I've packed up and I've gone, but it has never allowed peace to be in my heart about it.
yes,
And that's how I knew that that's part of it, in knowing that this is God's doing, this is God's will.
Yes, yes,
yes.
yes.
And my brother said something the other day that really sit with boy, he's so wise.
Mm-hmm.
Said they often say God won't give you more than you can bear,
Yes,
but it doesn't mean that what you're bearing isn't heavy.
yes, yes,
So true.
yes.
What we have, what he and I have borne, are bearing, and will bear
Mm,
will be heavy.
yes,
But we bear it together, and we just bear it knowing that God has provided, and just as Moses had an Aaron and a Hur to hold
yes,
up his hands, God has provided his son Jesus and the Holy Spirit to hold up our hands
mm,
as we go through life together.
yes.
So I want any couple out there going through a hard time,
My God.
believe me, I know, we know. And
Yeah,
and on the one testimony, I'm gonna share some things when we go
Hmm.
yeah.
through. You understand, this life would not end tonight if so be the case.
Mm-hmm.
But just know that what God has put together,
Mm,
Oh man.
let no man put us under, including you. You
mm,
not be the one to tear it apart neither.
Yes,
Don't
pure.
be
yes,
the man to tear it apart.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
like that.
And
I
allow
like.
God to do his perfect will.
Yes.
And remember that in Ephesians 6, I believe that we use as the marital scripture,
Mm-hmm.
either 5 or 6, that it first says that both of us are to submit to God.
Yes.
Both husband and wife must first submit to God. To the
Yes.
men, when you are submitted to God, it is easier for your wife to submit to you,
Yes. My.
because you will see
Mm,
what leadership looks like by following Christ.
there.
And
Yes.
when you demonstrate that, it is easy for your wife to
Submit.
Yes.
see God in you and follow you also.
Mm,
So the wives, don't give your husband a hard time.
no. Mighty God.
Don't give your husband a hard time, for
Mm-hmm.
it will cause him to submit to the wrong God.
Oh my God.
But some will submit to the God of drugs to get relief and peace. Will submit to the God of adultery. Some will submit to the idol of all manner of things.
Mm-hmm.
Respect your spouse for God's sake. Remember, this is an institution that first honors God before
Mhm.
it honors the individual.
Well said. Well
Mm.
said. Well
So
said.
whatever you do, honor God, and He will honor your marriage.
My God.
Well
Listen, I feel like
said.
I could have just take up everything and just say, well, next we done. Because you have said it
Yes.
all. You
Yes.
have
Yes.
recapped that so beautifully. Lady Blackstock, thank you so much. We are
Thank
looking forward to having Sir Blackstock on with you the next time. Of course.
you.
Shakira, the others who are on, thank you. I'm going to ask you one last time. This is your opportunity again to go like the live and to impact the key. That one little button, go click and like so
Amen.
that
Amen.
YouTube know this is actually helping somebody. Oh
Amen.
my
Amen.
gosh.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Have a
Thank you so
great
much.
night,
Thank you so much.
everybody.
Mwah.
Bye bye.
Good, good.